Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here, and I'm having a little bit of a problem building a deck for Standard. So I thought I'd make a video about it, just to see if anybody's in the same boat, because this actually really snuck up on me. It was a bit unexpected. So there's three major problems right now with building a deck in Standard, and they're all pretty bad. So the first one's kind of a technical problem. Well, honestly, it's actually like three parts, because it's every single deck that I have was just destroyed irreparably because of, 4 sets cycling out. They're missing too many cards. They cannot be rebuilt. And then on the flip side, for what's left, 80% of the cards that are now in Standard have already been in Standard. So if I had some clever deck to build out of them, I probably would have already built it. So then the third part is, okay, what's left? Let's look at Ixalan. Well, you can't really build anything out of Ixalan because you already know that to build a highly competitive deck, you need both sets from the block to be legal. I've said it before as an example, but why not? It's worth repeating. Energy was just kind of a gimmick. You could build it if you wanted. When Kaladesh came out, it was just, okay, I'm building an energy deck, cool, whatever. And then when Aether Revolt came out with, honestly, the rest of the energy cards that you needed in the first place, now you could build energy. Now it was like a top-tier, competitive, really good deck. And I'm talking either Marvel or Red-Green Energy Rush. Either one was really damn good, but they use cards from both. So what's left is the problem. I just can't build anything out of it. Well, then on top of it, I don't remember what cycled out. I mean, I keep thinking, oh, is Deck in Stone legal? I don't remember. Oh, what about this card? And then I was pretty sure that Fretwork Colonies was from BFZ. It turns out it's not. It's from, like, Aether Revolt. So I keep coming up with cards, and I don't remember if they're legal or not. So when I just initially put together an idea in my head, I don't remember until I look them up individually. And then usually it turns out, yeah, no, there's not enough cards to build it. And with only 5 sets being legal, trust me, the phrase "there's not enough cards to build it" is going to come up quite a bit. So problem number 2 is I can't build just a generic, brute force simplistic cliche deck, which sounds bad, but it's usually what can win. While people are still getting their decks, built, they've got these new ideas and they're bringing them to FNM and testing them, and all the stupid net deckers either don't show up because they don't know what to build, or they build some absolute garbage because they don't know deck building, and it just plays like crap. So everybody's bringing these weak decks that aren't quite perfected yet, and you could sneak in with just some absolute consistent, steamroller, where it just keeps going and going and going, and they just can't stop it. So what do I mean by stupid cliche deck? All flyers, super ultra red blitz, just absolute turn 4 rush. Bounce and counterspell with a low creature count, or what I was trying to build, which is 28 creature removals and 10 creatures that can single-handedly win the game. Now, preferably they'd have death triggers for enemy creatures, but only one does, and he's just not good enough. And honestly, we're left with Fretwork Colony. That's it, because Drana is no longer legal, and she was the absolute best. She'd, put a counter on herself every time she hit, and then all other creatures that were attacking, plus, kind of in a 2-step thing because of first strike. So yeah, losing her killed the deck, and honestly, I would have needed like a third one. So it's pretty obvious I'm trying to just rebuild Stall and Steamroll, but with a little bit different concept. But I thought, okay, I could drop blue and put in white, and there's your second removal color. Nope, the cards just aren't there, the removal isn't there, and the reason I was trying to build this is in response to what I think people will build, which is, tribals, because everybody leans on tribals for the first couple weeks. And Merfolk, I refuse to lose to that damn deck. I hate it. They just made such a design mistake putting them back in, because just think about it, by turn 5, they're all hexproof or take an extra 2 mana to target. They're all boosted, so they're too big for like a passive sweeper. Really, the only thing that could stop Merfolk is Bantu's Last, and they could run counterspells to cover themselves, because hello, blue. So Merfolk are just going to sit there on the field, and no matter how many creatures you have, they're going to swing right past it, and the only way to beat them is to just nuke the entire field, or counter the creatures as they come out, or out-hit them to the point where they can't swing, they are forced to block because you're going to do more damage faster. And I think that last one is the only reasonable threat to Merfolk, so it might devolve into that. But, I mean, if you had good enough board wipes, like, I don't know, maybe the 10 permanents on the field one, that's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think they'll get it. But, I mean, they're all going to have counters on them because of that stupid cloner robot, which that card was a disastrous mistake from the R&D department. And I mean, all the token merfolks are going to have hexproof. I mean, it's just so hard to stop merfolk. And then they had to make them green so they have enough like boost and trample and ambush to have just basic like ambush removal while also just pounding out the damage for low amounts of mana. So unless merfolk is considered too slow to be competitive as far as damage and they always have to go on the defense, it's going to be one of the top decks. But keep in mind, maybe not until Rivals comes out, because there's so few merfolk, we obviously need the other half of the merfolk. So for now, it might be a gimmicky deck, but whatever. But just think about what other people are going to be running. Dinosaurs with Enrage, so I wouldn't try to fight dinosaurs with direct red damage. Well, and then obviously zombies. So yeah, sweepers, board wipes, Bantu's Last, you know, white board wipes with ramp into them, discount board wipes, that kind of stuff. Or even just mass bounce back to hand. I'd consider that a board wipe, I guess. Oh, and the white, you know, Aether Spouts, basically. That would be a damn good one. That's what I thought you're going to need to stop what people are going to initially build, whether or not that turns into the competitive meta or not. Well, the card support isn't there. That's right. The card support for I'm just going to remove creatures isn't there. Wow. So honestly, I'm coming up with more than 3 problems. I mean, one of the problems is they cycled out too many cards at once. Some of my 5 or 6 standard decks would have been salvageable if they would have only cycled out 2 sets instead of 4 at one time. 4 is a death sentence. I mean, 2 I could work around it. Some of them would drop in power a little bit. Some of them I would find replacements. But as long as it's not like literally a landfall deck and we're losing BFZ, it should have been fine. So they definitely should cycle out 2 sets twice a year instead of 4 sets once a year. That's just, it's too detrimental. I mean, all my decks are dead. And then on the flip side, everything in the last 4 blocks was super encapsulated. I mean, just think about the mechanics, okay? Vehicles and crewing, okay, everything you need for that is in the same block. Then we've got zombies, sort of by accident, everything you need is in that block, because I mean, zombies are in every block. But a bunch of the other major mechanics are just limited to their own block, especially energy. I mean, what the hell are you going to do with energy with any other card? So that means that they didn't kill off certain other decks because all the cards they need are in the same set. So that's kind of part A and part B of them just choosing to cycle the wrong amount of sets at a time. So at the end of the day, this one deck that just keeps pissing me off is zombies. And instead of black-white zombies or mono-black zombies, it's like 3-color zombies. I don't even remember what the 3rd color is, honestly. I think it's blue. But either way, that deck is insanely impossible to beat, and it's losing 1 card. 1 horribly unnecessary card, and it's some Eldritch Moon, Liliana's, whatever the hell. So that deck is good enough that a version of it won, like, first place at several tournaments. So if it's only losing 1 card, people are just going to put in, you know, the Cloner Robot and call it a day. Either that or Bantu's Last if they really want to be a dick, because, you know, that'll stop merfolk. But I think that the Zombies deck is so synergistic, so much tribal boost that it'll just blow apart merfolk and pretty much everything else. Dinosaurs, I mean, they all cost 5. Good luck. There's no way in hell you're going to verse, you know, zombies with dinosaurs no matter how much ramp you get. So they cycled out too many and they killed too many decks. They left in too many decks by making them, you know, able to be built with just cards from their own set. Ixalan is the last set to have all of its mechanics split in 2 so that it guarantees that you can't play with Ixalan cards because you know they're not good enough yet. That's being fixed shortly because Dominaria is going to be its own set. Or I mean its own block. They're not doing 2-part anything anymore, which is very good, but still. And the same problem with not having all of Ixalan out yet is, like I said, 80% of the cards, if I had a clever idea with them, I would have already built it. So they've managed to simultaneously leave 2 good of decks together from those sets while cycling out so many cards that it's a guaranteed death sentence for anything else you have. That's a bad combination. And from a business standpoint, it's really quite bad because if you have a reason to not buy Ixalan, that's bad. That's bad for Wizards. And your reason is they left too many intact decks from the last 4 sets. So I definitely smell a ban coming in because they're going to have to stop zombies, and I really can't think of anything else that'll just take off and be insane. I mean, maybe mill with fraying, but I don't know. I think there's still enough cards to cover the Mechanized Production and Revel and Riches deck because, I mean, hello, 2 control colors. I mean, people were generating like 6 treasures just at the pre-release. I mean, just imagine when you can build your own damn deck. You're going to get to 10 treasures pretty flippin' quick. I mean, that deck could even run As Foretold, and it would actually be pretty damn good. Otherwise, just pretend that your treasures are As Foretold. So if you're tapped out, but then somebody tries to blow up your Revel and Riches, you just sack 2 treasures and cast Negate. So that's kind of messed up. So I legitimately do not have a deck to play tomorrow, so I can't go, which that's wonderful. Now, the other problem with this is, and Wizards has already addressed this somewhat, most people have between Friday morning and Friday evening to build a deck. I don't know if you knew this or not, but you probably have to go to work or school. So that's always been a problem, and that's why the attendance has been just miserable on release Friday. That's why, you know, if they would pull their heads out of their butts, they'd realize that they should probably, I don't know, release it on a Monday or a Wednesday or any time that isn't Friday. But they came up with an almost smart plan to just tell every store in the world, can you guys just run draft? We're going to call it draft weekend, so run Ixalan draft. You know, that way people have an entire other week to build a deck. And yeah, that was actually a really smart solution. Slight drawback is I absolutely hate draft, and it costs like triple the entry fee usually. Oh, and the last event we just did with Ixalan was, you know, another limited event, another sealed event. I mean, it'll get you some cards, but whatever. I mean, at least people don't feel pressure to build a deck this quick. So yeah, I'm not attending on Friday. Now, I did ask my store, are you guys running a draft or some other format? Or once in a while they'll do like, you know, a Fat Pack challenge or a Planeswalker deck battle thing. I guess I'd probably try to go if that's the case. But otherwise, it's not a choice. I mean, I'd love to go play Magic, but I can't get a deck together. I have no ideas that work, and I refuse to build, you know, obviously a net deck like zombies. So if I can't compete and I can't come up with any ideas and the cards aren't there to put together anything good that can beat anybody else, why bother? So hopefully I can come up with some clever idea. I'm just going to re-look over Ixalan and try to build some kind of Ixalan heavy deck, probably something to do with treasures or cloning or blue pin down or blue bounce and then discard or something like that. I don't know. Something, you know, single purpose, overwhelming, so that no matter what they do, I can hopefully just flood it and win, you know. And I will not resort to mill, by the way. I have some standards. But let me know if you guys have been having a similar experience. And if you have a deck ready. I mean, it would be weird if you did, considering you probably don't have enough cards to build with yet, thus the problem. And are you skipping this Friday either because you just can't get your crap together and get a deck built? Or do you have an existing deck that's, you know, from Kaladesh or whatever from Amonkhet and you can play with that? Let me know down in the comment section, and I will see you guys next video.